friends. It's the Cinemondo podcast. Kathy, Mark, Burk, talking about movies, talking about trailers. Sometimes movies make me uneasy.
Yeah, this was one of those.
This is a film starring Nic Offerman and Jacob Tremblay, and the film is called Sovereign. And if Nic Offerman, you remember him from, you know him from Parks and Rec and from Devs and all this.
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Last of Us.
The best episode of Last of Us.
Yes. And he's a very likable
everything he does, basically.
He does. And he plays a very unlikable character in this film, but he's excellent.
Yeah.
And it's a father-son story and directed by Christian Swegal. It's his first film, and I think he really kind of hit the nail on the head of what he was going for.
Yeah.
Sort of this toxic masculinity passed along to a son, dealing with some political stuff. And well, let's watch the trailer before we get too much into our review.
We'll get into the trailer.
Are we ready?
Yep.
All right, everybody quiet. Hold the work. And...
Hello? 1-1, where is your emergency? Exit 275 on 40. These guys just shot a police officer right on the exit.
I need to ask you a few questions. Maybe you can help me get to the bottom of what happened. Can you do that for me? You two were on some kind of road trip?
My dad travels for work.
There is no money. It's all just numbers on a ledger. And when it all comes collapsing down, who do you think they expect to come around and clean up the mess?
What about school?
I'm homeschooled. He says that he wants me to be an independent thinker.
Power's in the people. Always remember that.
We found some weapons in the van you were driving. Your father has, he ever been violent?
Next time, aim more for the head. You know, they wear bulletproof vests.
It sounds to me like your dad doesn't like the government very much.
They demand that you beg. They're sick like that. You know, they're psychotic, psychopaths.
I mean, I don't want to have to kill anybody. But if they keep messing with me, then I'm afraid that's what it's going to come down to. And if I have to kill one, then I'm not going to be able to stop. I just know it.
They think they can just, you know, keep squeezing blood out of a stone. But at some point, you have to let them know that you won't be pushed any further.
This is an illegal stop.
Sir, get back in the car.
What law did I break?
Get back in the
Tell me
car
what
right
law
now.
I broke and I'll comply.
Sir?
They're sick in the head, that's all. So we just gotta play their silly-ass little games. And go in there and, kill the monster under the bed, so to speak.
Very disturbing trailer for a very disturbing movie. Very disturbing. So yeah, I really thought they really captured the vibe of the life in that kind of a socioeconomic kind of depressed area like West Memphis, which is where this supposedly takes place.
Right.
And I think they really handle well like the kind of victimhood of people who feel like no one sees them or notices them, and now whoever is not paying attention to them is the enemy. I thought they did a great job, and you have Nic Offerman who's so intense, like you always feel like he's just about to explode any moment, even when he's being calm. Like, oh God.
Yeah. And also, I think of the horrible situation where the Minnesota congresswoman and her husband were killed recently. And this guy, I was thinking of that guy when I was watching his character, like people out there that are just unhinged, don't trust the government, don't trust any, and they have the guns, they have the weapons, and they can cause mayhem. And that's what this film is about.
It's people that get whipped up by propaganda. Basically, it's like the reason the word propaganda exists is because it works. There are people who listen to the weirdest things. You know, you have people. We have prominent politicians talking about chemtrails again. That, you know, heard about that from decades ago, and it's been disproven time and time again. And yet, I guess the time was right to bring it back, because a lot of people haven't heard about the myth of, you know, And so now they're talking about chemtrails and weather control and all these conspiracy theory things that get people, they present them as truth, and then these media outlets that get sued for millions of dollars for lying and yet still do the same thing. And people out there listen to this stuff, and since it presents itself as news, they buy it,
and they want to buy it. That's the
they
thing.
want
They
it.
want to believe it
They
because
want
they've got,
someone to blame.
yeah,
And a lot
about
of
their
that stuff is-
situation. Yeah.
It's aimed at people who are weak. Basically, what I see in this film is Nick Offerman plays a very weak man, a man who can't function properly without being pissed off at everything that he feels like is putting me down. It's coming at me, and I can't handle it. I'm not strong enough, and so I have to get a gun, and I have to go out, and I have to hurt people,
And I have to
think
take my son along with me.
Yeah, and you got to
That's-
drag your son down into this
Yeah.
nightmare.
That's what I thought was so good
Yeah.
about the movies. We have the son who basically is a pawn. Like he's on the verge of being okay, but his father, who originally was, I think he said, was a roofer, and then his construction jobs started to dry up because he got more and more radicalized.
Right.
And so then his full-time job began not wanting to pay certain taxes. So they keep trying to find ways out of paying his property tax or paying for the mortgage on his house. And if they don't pay the mortgage, he's going to lose the house. And the son is trying to be the adult in the room and trying to say, Dad, we have the money. Why won't you just pay it? And he's just, no, it's just standing on principle,
Yeah,
which in a way just puts him more in a position. So, and here's this kid who I loved him because he looked so authentic. He was like, he looked so sad. He was super thin. He had these big baggy clothes. He was taking care of himself, basically. His dad was always gone,
Yeah.
And so I love the idea where he was trying to enroll in schools. Like he didn't want to be homeschooled. And even when a social worker, I think, or a cop comes to the house, he goes, why are you home? Aren't you supposed to be in school? Oh, I'm homeschooled. And he gets like this smirk, like, oh, right. Sure you are. So that's like a big joke in the movies that he's homeschooled, but he's still a really smart kid. So once in a while he goes to schools in certain counties. He's like, can I enroll? They're like, sure. You need to bring this and bring this and bring this document. And he's like, but I don't have any of that. They're like, well, let us know when you can. And he knows his dad won't give him these. So he's trying, he wants to be a normal kid, but his dad won't let him.
Right.
So he's kind of being dragged along into this mentality. It was so heartbreaking to watch.
That's the tragedy of it. I think.
So perfectly modulated. And the trailer looked really like kind of big action shootouts and a lot of gun stuff. The movie is very like slow burn build to that. Like this movie's not that. Like it's very emotional. It's very like, you're caring about the kid and the relationship and where the dad's taking him. And, you get that. So you're building up to the only solution is guns by the time you get to the end.
Right.
And you see them mentally making that happen.
That's why it works, because the characters, I mean, like you really feel bad. And Jacob Tremblay, who has been in so many, he's such a good child actor. You first saw him in Wonder, and he was just, a sweet kid. And then he's been in a bunch of other films. He really brings it. And that relationship with his dad, who's just an impossible person, is just heartbreaking. And Dennis Quaid's really good as the cop who's trying to figure this out and trying to stop it. So it's really great acting from the three leads that kind of really takes it over the top. So it's well,
and
and
Nick actor in it doesn't act like an actor.
No, he seems so real.
That's like the best compliment I can give to an actor is they don't act like an actor. You feel like you're watching a real person, and that it sounds like a rudimentary thing to say about an actor, but there's some actors that you enjoy watching and you feel like they're good actors, but you're watching an actor.
Yeah.
And then there's some actors who look like they just came in off the street and you're filming them, you're filming a real person.
And I love, like, Nick Offerman has that little shtick he does. He goes from different, counties, and he, goes to the churches and he pitches this whole, like, cessation from America. Like, you don't want to pay, you should pay me, not the government. And that's kind of their shtick, how and it's heartbreaking to watch because you see his justification for all of it. And you're trying to understand and there's validity to the helplessness a lot of people feel. They feel like no one's helping them. They need the help. No one helps. And even like mental health, and even the schools, like they can't, you see how they're tied. They're sort of, their hands are tied to help this kid. They can't, there's no real official abuse. Like he's not going to school, but no one's really figuring it out. And Nick Offerman's character is so abrasive and so like, you're breaking the law by being on my property. Like everything is a fight and everything's a speech about like his rights and what's happening.
Everything is persecution.
So people just kind of back away. They're like, yeah, this poor kid. Oh, well, it's just, you kind of back away from it. So it's really, it was tragedy to watch it. And it's like just seeing the kid being dragged around and how he's trying to resist, but he almost can't because it's his dad. I was like,
it's his dad. He's not an adult. He's still like a 15-year-old kid.
Yeah,
So he's
a
just
little
trying
kid.
to, yeah.
Well, you hear from
Really
these
hard.
people that get radicalized, and one of the jokes about them is like, oh, these people are so radicalized, they think the weather is conspiring against them. But then recently, with the flooding in Texas, we had official political, political people were literally saying the weather is conspiring against us. It's gotten to that point where people are so radicalized, they think
even nature is against them.
Nature is being controlled, and we're being attacked by magic, and weather control and chemtrails and whatnot.
In a way, we are controlling the climate because we're killing it with our terrible, dirty energy. So that's part of it. We could help the what's happening.
Let me tell you, if their enemies could control the weather and create rain and floods, they would have done it out here in liberal California during those fires.
We could have used some of that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But I loved everything. I thought it's a hard movie to watch. It's very disturbing. I feel like you do get a little insight into some of this. I feel, and it's a not sympathetic view, but it's a what would you call it? Like you're not seeing this like bad people, bad. You're seeing like the struggle. So I thought that was really beautifully done, and I love this sort of really muted palette. Like everything. Oh, the sky was always gray. It always looked like verge of raining. The trees are all scraggly. It just looks so like depressing. Everywhere they went, everything they did, you could feel the hopelessness saturating this movie, and so you're rooting for the kid. You're like, oh, please let him get out of this, because you feel like there's got to be some hope in this movie, and that was the big the big push is to like you have this kid who's in an impossible situation. What can happen, and you see just the spiral and all the terrible things going into place. So it was a really powerful movie, and it's like you got to kind of gird yourself for it. But I think it's important to see movies like this, because I feel like seeing sometimes how the other side, how people who feel disenfranchised and forgotten, how that can breed that kind of anger and rage. That's the kind of thing everyone needs to address. You need to figure out like what it is people need and how to help them, because it's just about helping. Because if people can live a good life and feel like they're being heard and that they're, they don't want to blame everything and everybody. So yeah, it's kind of tragic.
And in some of those areas, there really is a people that feel disengaged from the rest of the world. They feel like they've been left behind. They feel like they're failing, and the reason they're failing is because of the economy of the place they live in is so upside down. And Kathy, you and I have a little history in that area in West
We've been
Memphis.
to West Memphis many times, which is where this
times.
supposedly took place, but wasn't filmed there. Yeah.
And we've actually involved ourselves with people who are in dire, horrifying, sad situations like that in those areas. And we got a real close up view of how people out there might feel, and we felt that desperation coming from a lot of people.
It was
and
hard.
People that felt helpless. I remember talking to someone, I won't go into, it's a long story, but I remember talking to somebody who had lost her son and felt very alone and very confused by the whole thing. And she told me that she had heard that it was the Catholics, and that they had underground tunnels, and that they were involved a government, that it was devil worshippers, and that there were devil worshippers that were going to try to get all the kids. They're trying to indoctrinate the kids into this devil worshiping thing. And there's people who get into such desperate situations, and they may need some help. They may need some mental help, but they're not getting it because all the funding for that got cut by their politicians.
That's right.
But they are susceptible to these things because they're confused and they don't understand. And people will come in, somebody will swoop in and exploit these people.
That's right. And that's what happened.
Appealing to their feelings of inadequacy and offering them superiority. Like, we are better than them.
That's right. And we're talking about the West Memphis 3 case, which was 3 kids were murdered, and it was attributed to satanic worshipers.
Right.
And so
people believed it.
So 3 boys were arrested based on that because they had Stephen King books in the room, basically. So it was a horrible, horrible, terrible case. And so it was very familiar because we were there often going to the hearings and advocating for this case to get these kids out of jail. So we are very aware of like the socioeconomic challenges of West Memphis, which were extreme.
and the mental health challenges too.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to
Well,
make
that's
it
all
sound
hand
like,
in hand.
yeah, but we met and interacted with people and engaged with people who honestly needed
Yes.
some help, you know,
Yeah.
needed to and
Yeah.
it was just sad to see that they were just
Was.
struggling through their lives without any
Yeah.
help, without any kind of
No safety net.
no
Yep.
safety net for them.
Nope.
Yeah, and they were just out on their own trying to put the pieces together of what had happened to them.
Right.
And what had happened to their family. Their families got torn apart by something they didn't understand. And so somebody is standing there in front of them in a position of authority saying,
Here's what happened.
it was devil worshippers.
Yeah. See, and that way you can marginalize kids, like goth kids who don't fit in, gay people, like anything, any enemy you can slot in there, they just put in there. So that was very gratifying to a lot of people, because they, didn't really, they thought this is the only kind of person who could possibly do something like this. So it was very sad. And this movie, I think it brought a lot back of that time, just being in that area. Like, even though it wasn't actually shot in West Memphis, it had that vibe. Like, we drove all over the state going to prisons. So we saw that a lot, but it was very, you can totally see that happening. I think they really captured the desperation of that area and the situation. So they did a great job in this movie.
And yeah, the writer director, it's his first film, Christian Swegal.
Incredible.
He did a great job, and we'll see more from him, because he really he's also a cinematographer, and he captured that sort of, like you said, that gray sort of like
good.
Beautiful America, this sort of like hopeless vibe that permeates the film. So really well done. You have to be in the mood for it, but it's worth checking out. So
and
come
again,
and check it
like
out.
what Kathy just said, Nick Offerman is in it.
So that's all you need to know, really.
Yeah.
And Jacob Tremblay, he's also great too.
Oh, he's so good. They were great together, because they're like these polar opposites, and they were so good together. It's fantastic.
Sovereign is out now. Check it out. Streaming. It's really worth seeing. You've got to be in the mood for it, but if you are, you're going to get something out of it for sure.
It's a very valuable film to see. Yes.
Absolutely.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. See you guys soon.
Bye, everybody.